If you want to fix your credit like the pros, I'm revealing the hard inquiry removal system that would allow you to improve your credit score, regardless of where your score is right now. It's a system that adapts to your credit situation, whether you have one hard inquiry or 10 hard inquiries on your report. Because no matter how many you have, you're always going to follow these 3 steps. First, for every hard inquiry that you see on your credit report, you need to understand if it was authorized or not, because this will be the main thing that decides if you should dispute it or leave it alone. If you can find inquiries that you never approved, that's fantastic. But the beauty of this first step is it gives you clarity and encourages you to do 2 key things. First, it forces you to look for the difference between hard pulls and soft pulls, credit card application or pre-approval, car loan quote or credit karma check, personal loan application or bank FICO score. So most people that I know don't even understand this common difference, which is what I noticed after helping people look at their own credit reports. Because most people think every credit check hurts their score. But the most unexpected and revealing moment is when someone opens their report and realizes some inquiries are soft pulls and some are hard pulls, and only the hard pulls are affecting their score. And I kid you not, when people see multiple hard inquiries from one car dealership or from lenders they don't remember authorizing, they finally understand why their score dropped, even when they thought they only asked for one quote. Keep in mind, these inquiries can stay on your report for up to 24 months. Next, this first step forces you to focus on accuracy. You've probably heard countless times before to just wait 2 years and let hard inquiries fall off by themselves. But I believe that's the wrong way to look at it. Instead, before you ignore any inquiry, you should ask yourself, did I actually authorize this company to pull my credit? If that hard inquiry came from a loan or credit card you really applied for, then chances are it belongs there, and it may be harder to remove. But if that inquiry came from a company you don't recognize, or a dealership pulled your credit multiple times without clear permission, then chances are this is the kind of inquiry you need to go after. Instead of stressing over every small score change, it's more effective to focus on the bigger credit mistakes, unauthorized hard pulls, duplicate inquiries, or old inquiries that are still hurting your score. The thing with hard inquiries is, one inquiry might only drop your score a few points, but when you have several of them sitting there together, it can make you look riskier to lenders. So if you manage to identify the hard inquiries you want to remove, like you find 3 or 4 that look unauthorized, then I need you to hold on to that list, because I'm going to show you what you need to do with it in a bit. Next, the second step in this system says that for every hard inquiry you want to dispute, you should first prepare your documents. Because this thing is called verification. A lot of people can't get their disputes moving because they send weak or incomplete information. Think of your documents as a proof package that's specifically set aside for the credit bureaus. And proof doesn't include random screenshots, blurry photos, or half-filled letters. This package should only include what helps verify your identity when the bureau reviews your dispute. Basically, when you want the process to move cleanly. So about a few years ago, I saw people try to dispute inquiries with just a quick online message and then get stuck because the credit bureau needed more information. They had no idea why the dispute was delayed, and they even considered giving up because they thought nothing was working. But then, they realized they didn't send the basic paperwork. The good news is, determining what you actually need for your dispute is simple. Get a copy of your credit report and take account of all the hard inquiries you want to challenge. Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. Multiply that by the bureaus where the inquiry appears, and then organize everything clearly. Once you have your report, you need to commit to marking it properly. Highlight the hard inquiry, circle it, number it, and keep one copy for yourself and one copy for the credit bureau. For a limited time, you can even use a simple dispute letter template and plug in your information. But what's even more important is what you attach with it. While most people just submit the dispute online and hope for the best, there are much better ways to make the process cleaner because you can include your ID documents, which allow the bureau to verify you a lot faster. With most disputes, you may need a copy of your driver's license or government ID, a copy of your social security card, a utility bill, or a bank statement with your name and address on it. On the other hand, if you send the wrong documents, or nothing at all, the Bureau can ask for more information, and that leaves you waiting longer. I'll leave the kind of documents you should check below. But an even bigger problem is most people don't know which inquiries to start with. The reality is, you don't always want to start with the newest inquiry first. Once you have your list, stop looking at it randomly and start with the oldest hard inquiries first. I would not suggest trying to remove a hard inquiry that was started within the past 60 days, because these are usually harder, since the company may still have your information and authorization on file. So hold on to the recent ones and focus on older questionable inquiries first. Next, the third step in this system says that before you dispute, you should freeze the data sources that can make it easier for bureaus and lenders to verify information. Because the whole point of this step is to make the bureau do the work and prove that you authorized the inquiry. The problem is, we were only taught to dispute with the big three credit bureaus. That's pretty much what most people think credit repair is. Just send something to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. But the credit system has other reporting agencies that collect personal data, and lenders use that information too. And after learning how credit bureaus verify information, I realized that you can be fighting hard inquiries on your report, while other databases are still making it easier for them to connect everything back to you. But unfortunately, like many people, I never learned this in school, nor did most people's parents teach them this. I pretty much had to go out of my way to learn this from studying credit reports, credit bureaus, and consumer reporting agencies. But this is one of those things that once you learn it, you can never unlearn it. But if you don't learn it, you might never learn it. And if you don't learn it, you're going to keep disputing blindly. There are a few specific places you should look at before sending your inquiry dispute, because they may hold personal information that lenders and bureaus use. First is LexisNexis, which is a public records company. The main thing about LexisNexis is that it can provide personal information like old addresses, property records, judgments, liens, relatives, and other identifying data that many businesses can use. The caveat is that if you freeze or opt out of LexisNexis and later apply for a new account, like a checking account, credit card, job, or apartment, the company may ask you to lift the freeze so they can verify your information. It's a pretty straightforward process to place a freeze. First, you go to the LexisNexis website. Second, you request a freeze or opt out. Third, you plug in your personal information. Fourth, and please make sure you pay attention because many people completely miss this step, you keep record of the freeze, so you know when to unfreeze it if you need to apply for something later. The second place you should look at is Innovis, which is another credit reporting agency, meaning it works like another credit bureau, even though most people only know Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Unlike the big three, Innovis is often called the fourth credit bureau because it collects similar data and can be used for identity verification and pre-screening. This company can collect non-traditional credit information like rent payments, utility bills, and other account data. You basically go to Innovis.com and place a security freeze on your Innovis credit report. And this is one less thing you have to worry about when lenders or companies are checking extra data. One of the biggest advantages of doing this before you dispute is that you're not just fighting the inquiry on the surface. You're also controlling some of the background information that companies may use to verify you. The third place you should look at is SageStream, because there have been many cases where people tried to buy a car and got denied financing because of information from alternative reporting agencies. It sounds really confusing, but basically SageStream can have its own score, and lenders may use it for certain applications. So if you have no choice, and a lender only looks at one of these reports, then you might as well treat it like any other credit bureau and dispute inaccurate information there too. And again, it's basically about reducing the extra data that can work against you in the future. So if you're planning to dispute hard inquiries, this is an absolute no-brainer. So after you have your credit report, your highlighted hard inquiries, your documents, and your freezes in place, you need to figure out how to actually send the dispute. And before I tell you what I personally prefer, here's a practical reason that sending it correctly matters. If you send your dispute by mail and you send it certified mail, you now have a paper trail that proves the company received your letter. If you just send it normally and they lose it, you may have to resend everything and waste more time. Anyways, for most people, disputing online or by mail is all that you really need to do. Basically, instead of guessing or calling random places, you choose the bureau where the hard inquiry appears and start the dispute there. With an online dispute, you can go to Google and search Experian Hard Inquiry Dispute, TransUnion Hard Inquiry Dispute, Equifax Hard Inquiry Dispute, and then follow the steps on the Bureau's website. You automatically get a faster turnaround and reduce the waiting time, meaning you can pretty much submit the information and track the process. For example, if you were to do it with Experian, you would select the hard inquiry section, review the list, choose the inquiry you want to dispute, and explain that you did not authorize it or you do not recognize it. Thus, you give the Bureau a clear reason that would allow them to investigate because your dispute is now focused on one specific problem. And by doing it online, it's actually a lot faster than mailing letters in many cases. Online disputes are usually a great option because some people have seen results within hours to 24 hours. Some cases are naturally going to take longer than others, but on average, you can expect the Bureau to review and respond within the dispute window. So with most hard inquiry disputes, I would either use certified mail if I want a strong paper trail, or online disputes if I want speed, because it's easy and really straightforward. But you can choose whatever you're comfortable with. There are a ton of people who still prefer letters, and if online dispute is not available, you can just send the letter by certified mail, and you should be pretty golden for the most part. Which leads me to something that you've got to start accepting. And it's that even if you're trying your hardest to fix your credit, sometimes you might still feel like your score is not moving fast enough. And that might be because you don't know the credit mistakes that are still sitting on your report. Click here to learn the credit mistakes you need to remove first.